Hey bro, in this video you're going to know exactly how to control your dopamine so you can revive your productivity and save hours of your time every single day. And I know as soon as I implemented this system, I saved myself like 5 hours every single day, and it's so easy to do. So I really recommend you watch this entire video and know exactly how to fix your life and start actually being productive. So this was me a while back playing Overwatch 2. You can obviously see that I'm bloody depressed, bro. I'm hating my life there. There's no way I enjoyed playing that game, especially Overwatch 2, bro. I would rage so much at that game. It was actually insane. And now I don't want to boast about myself because this is not about me. This is about you. This is about you being more productive. But I am much more productive than I was before because I used to play video games for 10 hours a day and I never did any work. So if I can actually start to be productive, what the hell is stopping you, bro? Because I'm like the king of procrastination around here. So I want you to give this your full attention. No other tabs, no scrolling to the comments, even though there's literally zero. No looking at the videos like on a weird sidebar thing on YouTube. And I want you to test your attention span because nowadays 90% of the population have a 4-second attention span. And if you want to be in the top 10%, test yourself. Can you actually sit through a, however long this video is going to be, video? What I want you to do is go full screen, no checking the comments. If you maybe have to pause the video to go and do something, you can come back to the video later on, sure. But this will save years of your life if you do this. So in this mini course, you'll learn what the hell is dopamine. Probably have the complete wrong definition of what dopamine is. Why is dopamine important in terms of productivity, and how dopamine is extremely important if you actually want to be productive. Why your dopamine systems are fried, why they're completely nuked. Bro, your dopamine systems are cooked right now. Like the average baseline for a dopamine level is like here. You're all the way up here, bro. Like you've broke the limits, mate. And this isn't me trying to offend you because I was probably in a worse position than you. And you're also going to learn 3 methods to fixing your dopamine baseline so you can start to be productive, so you can work for longer hours and save so much more time that you would normally spend procrastinating. And because I'm a G, I'm going to give you some clear action steps that you can basically just do as soon as you finish this mini course. So I do not want to waste any more of your time. I'm just going to get straight into the mini course. What is dopamine? What the hell is it? Dopamine is what the brain releases when we do an action. It gives us a feeling of satisfaction, enjoyment, and motivation. So just think about today. There was probably like at least one thing that you did that was dopamine releasing, right? So whether it's you scrolling for 5 minutes, whether it's you taking a poo, that probably gives us some levels of dopamine, to be honest. I'm trying to think of another one. Video games. Anything that basically just makes you feel good, makes you feel satisfied for like a few minutes when you're doing the action. Or it can actually be like healthy habits like the gym, because you got to realize that everything releases different levels of dopamine. Like the gym is probably going to be a lot more healthy than like scrolling for 5 minutes, isn't it? So now you know what dopamine is. I'm going to move on to this, but I've got to find where I can put the camera. That'll do. Right, smack bang in the middle. So there's actually 2 types of dopamine sources that you need to be aware of if you want to actually get better dopamine and get a lower dopamine baseline. The first one is natural dopamine sources. So this is like healthy things that you can do. So exercise, reading, purposeful work, socializing, sunlight, nature. If you literally just think to like the Roman times, what was Marcus Aurelius doing? I guarantee he wasn't sitting playing Overwatch 2 or scrolling or eating junk food, was he? He was probably trying to get one of these natural dopamine sources. And you've also got cheap dopamine, which is like video games, scrolling, junk food, Netflix, like those things that you can get like short-term pleasure from. Yeah, so you can just see at the bottom it says actions that give you short-term pleasure. So those are the 2 types of dopamine that we need to be aware of. We've got natural and cheap. We already know what dopamine is if you need a little refresh in the mind. It's basically any action that gives off satisfaction or a feeling of enjoyment, okay? So, it's the first section. So, the chances of you working at all, to be honest, depends on your current dopamine baseline. If your dopamine baseline is all the way up here and you have to meet this level every single day, you're not going to get any work done. But if it's down here and you're not really addicted to dopamine, you're going to be able to work so much harder and you're not really going to face any resistance that is stopping you from working, okay? So, let's go through this process. This is basically him, right? Let's say you eat a chocolate bar before work. You're about to do this deep work block and you're meant to get so many tasks done in a day. You've got a busy day ahead of you, but for some reason you decide to eat a chocolate bar. And now you're feeling guilt, brain fog, and it's basically just messed up your brain because now you've got all the effects that the chocolate bar has given you. And basically what that's going to do is your dopamine baseline is going to decrease, right? So I've shown this graph in mostly all my videos now because it's so important. But let's say as soon as you eat a chocolate bar, right, you get this level of dopamine, which is pleasure. Right? As soon as you eat it, it's going to go straight down. It's going to sink, and that means you're going to feel really miserable and you won't work. This is probably you slouching on your desk right now watching this video, and what's going to happen, you're going to want another chocolate bar just to get back to the normal dopamine level. So right now you're down here and you want to go all the way back up to your dopamine baseline, and that means you're going to keep on eating chocolate bars until you run out, or you're going to keep on getting any source of dopamine that you can find, normally a cheap source of dopamine. And this cycle is going to continue for your entire life, to be honest. If you keep on doing this, you're going to find it really hard to reset your dopamine baseline. So yeah, like I said, this is like the graph I mentioned in every single video. You're probably getting bored of it, but bro, just like, please just ingrain this into your mind because it's so important. Okay, so your work is a reflection of your habits and lifestyle. If you chase cheap dopamine, you will not work because you don't get a fast result from it. So let's say you're addicted to video games. Like, let's think of a really like easy video game that gives you lots of rewards. So this could be like Minecraft creative mode, right? When you got that entire list where you can just grab anything, any item in the game and just place it, right? What's gonna happen is when you keep on doing that, you're gonna get addicted to the short-term result. So like when you go back to survival mode and you can't get that quick item that you really want, you're gonna get really annoyed and you're probably gonna go back to creative mode. And at least that's what happened to me because I'm just lazy. And basically that's gonna reflect on our work. When we keep on striving for short-term results, we're not going to do the work, because normally when you do work or go to the gym or do like a natural source of dopamine, you don't really get a reward at the start. Like for example, when you go to the gym, you feel pain. You work on your business, it's going to be mentally taxing and it's going to be really hard to focus, right? So the chances of you actually working when you're addicted to dopamine is going to be very low. That's what I want you to understand, okay? I don't know if you've seen this video, but this is actually crazy. What I'm about to show you, I don't think I've even linked the video, but literally this kid is meant to be sleeping, right? And he's scrolling. He's literally subconsciously scrolling while he's asleep. And you can see how bloody depressed he is in his face. Like, this is the new generation. This is Gen Z. This is Gen Alpha, sorry. This is the new generation of people. It's sad to see. Anyway, this is why your dopamine systems are fried. I know there's a lot of text. Let me just explain it in a way that's super easy to understand. Consuming cheap dopamine has raised your baseline above the roof. Like I said before, bro, you've broke the barriers of normal dopamine levels. It's literally in space right now. When you keep on doing them, your dopamine baseline keeps increasing, so it's hard to get down. So every single time you go and sit down to play video games, your dopamine baseline is increasing. And we can see this because most of us cannot work without listening to music. Most people cannot go to the toilet and have a poo without bringing their phone with them. That's just weird, bro. And if you think back to the last time you tried to focus, you couldn't, could you? It's insanely hard to focus in the modern era because we've got lots of information, we've got tons of distractions, and to be honest, it isn't really our fault. We've been brought up with stimulating devices since the age of 6, like with this kid here. We've never had to go through large amounts of discomfort in our lives. So the chances of us actually working and taking the natural dopamine source instead of the cheap one is extremely unlikely. But you got to understand, they do not have to stay fried. Your dopamine systems, like I said at the start, are not going to be fried after you watch this mini course. So let's fix this as fast as possible. So now I'm going to move on to the section which is how to actually achieve a low dopamine. Let me just put this in a minute because I know as soon as you see this you're going to click off. The only way to lower your dopamine is, drumroll please, a dopamine detox. And I know you already know what a dopamine detox is, bro. You've heard it millions of times. But barely anyone explains it in detail, and that's why you struggle to take action on it. That's why it doesn't work for you. And what I want to do is make it so simple to do, give you an entire action plan, that it's basically impossible for you not to do this, okay? So now you know how to actually fix this. It's a dopamine detox. I'm gonna move it here, bro, just so don't block it. So what is a dopamine detox though? And I'm aware that maybe some of you do not know what a dopamine detox is, but I'm assuming most of you do. Okay, so it's also called dopamine fasting, and you can read this if you want, but bro, I'm not reading all that, and that's why I decided to make a different definition, so we don't even need to look at that, to be honest. So in English, it's gradually decreasing the bad habits over a time frame. So this can be 7 days, it can be a month, or for your entire life. I know some people that go on a lifetime dopamine detox, where they barely touch their phone, where they do not play video games, where they do not go and scroll, right? And that's what dopamine detox is. Now I know you're gonna get really distracted by this GIF, you know, like I'm literally fueling your dopamine baseline right now, but you're probably really confused about why Jeremy Clarkson is on a self-improvement video, but let me just explain, okay? So this is the first step in the dopamine detox. The first step is to gradually decrease your bad habits over a time period. We just discussed that. And the reason this works is it gets your brain used to the new dopamine levels. Avoid the spelling mistake, I know you can see it. And the thing is, going cold turkey and just cutting everything out usually doesn't work for most people. It didn't work for me. And let me just use an analogy for this. So when you're driving a car, when you're going like 100 miles an hour, to actually get out the car, you're not just going to take your seatbelt off and just open the door while the car's still moving, like Jeremy Clarkson right here. Because you'll get hurt, you'll probably die, to be honest, if you're going 100 miles an hour. But what you do is you slow down the car until it stops and then get out. That's the same thing with habits. You have to slow it down until it stops, and then you can start to add things into your routine. The thing to know is when you lower your dopamine, you're lowering your overall dopamine baseline, which means the urges will be less intense. When you get an urge to play video games, it's not going to be that extreme. And what I've done to make your life so much easier, I've linked a dopamine detoxing sheet in the description that will make it so much easier. It's basically just like this habit tracker, so you can track your progress on the dopamine detox. It's really good, bro. I used this on my first dopamine detox and it really helped me. I don't know why I said once we finish step 2, we haven't even gotten to step 2 yet. Once we finish step 1, we can start to load the good habits, which is the natural dopamine that we want to replace the bad habits in our life. So another analogy I like to use for this is basically right now you are in this tiny bubble, right? And you want to eat this giant bubble, you want to consume it so you get a bigger bubble. And this big bubble represents the discomfort that you do not want to feel, right? So here's you trying to eat this big bubble, and what's going to happen is you're just going to get consumed by it. You're not going to do it, and it's going to be really hard to actually do the habit. So what we have to do is start smaller by eating very small bubbles and slowly increase the size of our own bubble. And it's a funny example of this that I don't know if you relate to, but I used to only be able to play 1 hour of video games. That was pretty good, to be honest. And what happened is I got used to it and I wanted more. Every single time my parents told me to come off video games, I would say, oh, let me just finish this game, let me just finish this game. And I'll probably just be in like the main menu starting another game. And I would just think about video games all day, and I just wanted more and more. And this is exactly with building good habits, right? What you want to do is you want to start really small. So start with, I don't know, 5 minutes meditation. And eventually when you get so used to it, you're going to want to increase it. You're going to want to do it more because you've got used to that. It's already in your comfort zone. So to make your life even easier, what I've done is I've included a habit tracker to track the habits that you want to implement in your life. So the goal is to slowly build up discipline and favor natural dopamine sources instead of cheap sources. So what we're doing is we're transitioning our brain from this thing that just goes, I want cheap dopamine, to something that just hates it and craves natural dopamine instead. And the thing you have to understand is that this entire process will be insanely hard. And that's why I want to give you some tips to achieve a lower dopamine, okay? This will make it even more easier to do. Avoid stimulation. So this is basically like the normal premise of what a dopamine detox is. But the thing is, you have to understand is that when you want to do a hard task and then you decide to scroll for 5 minutes, your brain just thinks, oh, it can just get more stimulation, like way easier than doing the work. And that means you're just going to be scrolling instead of doing the work. And that means you will never work hard after you stimulate yourself. So what I want you to do is change the normal stimulus that you have in your life. So like scrolling video games. And I want you to replace this with reading books, exercise, and rewind the video where I talked about the natural dopamine sources. That's what I want you to fill your time with. And I know it's going to be boring at first, but eventually it becomes like the highlight of your day. Next tip. This is the FDE, and this was mentioned in the book Unscripted by MD DeMarco. He's a great author. I really recommend getting the book. And basically what this stands for is frick this event. It's meant to say the other word, but I don't swear on this channel, bro. And like I said, this dopamine detox will be really hard. So what you really need is a reason to do the protocol that I'm about to suggest. And the thing is, humans are motivated by fear rather than desire. Nobody wants to study for their exam like 5 months prior. Everyone is always cramming like the night before because they're scared of getting a low grade. They just care about not failing. So just ask yourself this. If you do not do this protocol, what will your life look like in 5 years? What is it going to look like? Are you going to be super depressed? Are you going to be broke? Are you going to be working a really bad, crappy 9-to-5 job? What is your life going to look like? And if you can perfectly analyze what your life is going to look like, there's going to be an element of fear in your life. And that means you're going to want to take action to stay away from this path. Think of a reason why you need to do a dopamine detox, otherwise you won't do it. If you're just going through this video thinking, oh yeah, this might work, let's just try it, you're going to give up after the first day. And that's a sad reality. You need a really big reason to do the work. And what I want you to take away is some action steps that I've carefully presented on screen that will really just help you with this dopamine detox. So the first step is to deload the bad habits in your life until they are manageable. You don't want to just go cold turkey and instantly implement new habits. You need to slowly decrease them until they become manageable. And the second step is slowly increase the good habits in your life to reset your dopamine levels. That will allow you to stay consistent self-improvement much easier. Step 3 is to grab the worksheets that I've linked in the description. So you got the habit tracker, you've got the dopamine detox sheet. And the fourth step is to simply just take action. Actually just take action and stop thinking about it. As soon as you finish this video, just start a dopamine detox for the next 7 days. And I guarantee your life will change. And just a quick plug, if you want to become insanely disciplined in a very short amount of time, cut out your procrastination, quit the bad habits, actually stay consistent on self-improvement so you can actually start loving your life again, get out of the depression stage. I'm doing one-to-one coaching right now. Click the link in the description if you're interested. I'm that confident that you will become disciplined in 4 weeks using the system that I used to get out of my constant procrastination. I'll literally work for free. I will carry all your problems until you become disciplined. So goodbye, have a nice day. You're going to get up in the face again. Goodbye.